So, it's time to plant pole beans. Right around Memorial Day is when I usually plant them. We're a couple days after that right now, but that's not too late. We had some really cold weather right before that. They don't like it very cold and wet. They tend to rot in the ground. So now, nice warm sunny weather, good to get them sprouted, and off they'll go. I'm planting Scarlet Runners, which are very large seeds. These are the Scarlet Runners. This is actually a German variant. You can get it in the shade. Maybe you can see the colors a little bit better. That's mostly this pinky purple, and this is more black with a darker purple background. These have soaked overnight to plump them up nicely. That will cut a good 5 days off of your germination versus just planting them right in the ground. I've already prepared my ground pretty well here. I've got a furrow dug. Where's my tool? I'm going to have to do this one-handed because I'm holding the camera here. Sorry about the half shade, half light. So I'm dug a furrow. You want to plant them about these big ones, 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches deep. Smaller beans about 1 inch deep. And you can see I've already put some in there. You separate them about 4 or 5 inches apart if you've got a single row. And just toss them in that furrow like that. And I got 2 in there. And then I'm going to, this is our south side of our house, and we got a window there that gets a lot of sun in the summertime and it's very hot. So these are actually really nice shade plants. They're going to go up and cover that window. I don't know if you can see in this shot, there are cup hooks on the edge of the roof there, and I am going to string some garden twine up. I've got these wires. This is a solid core laundry wire or clothesline with a plastic coating. Just cut those into about 14 inch lengths and curl over the top about 1.5 turns. And that's going to go in. I'm going to put them in right now because I can see where the beans are before I cover them up. Let's get this position. Let's get in the shade. Maybe you can see just a little better. Okay, so you can see there's a bean here, I hope, and a bean here. I want to get between cup hooks up high, so right about here. So we're going to put this in. So this is going to go between my bean seeds down into the ground. I hope I do have a irrigation. There it is. I've got a drip hose buried in here, so they get watered under the eaves. So that's going to go down into the soil, and I'm going to run my garden twine up through the cup hooks, down, slide it through that spiral, and back up and down and up and down all the way across. And that will give something for the beans to climb up. The hooks are going to be about 1 foot apart, maybe a hair more, 14 inches apart. And that way the beans will climb up that, and around late June, early July, when it's starting to get hot, they're going to cover up that window. And the Scarlet Runners have beautiful clusters of bright scarlet red blossoms that attract a lot of bumblebees, attract hummingbirds, and are very pretty to look at. The leaves covering over that window will drop the temperature coming through by a good 5 degrees. Sort of natural air conditioning there, and it's nice pretty dappled shade coming through, and they grow beans that you can eat. The beans on Scarlet Runners, the young beans, are great as a green bean, or you can let them mature into these and dry them down as dry beans, and they are great in chili, anywhere you want a good chunky nice firm textured bean in there. These are great, nice meaty feel to them, really nice flavor. So yeah, those are great beans for cooking with as well. So I'm going to plant, I've got some space up in front here. I'm going to plant probably bush beans of a couple dry bean varieties, or one anyway, 1 or 2 dry bean varieties to be bush beans in front, and that will let us go. You can see I've left some parsley to go to seed. That'll attract some beneficial pollinators and carnivorous insects to eat any pests that are coming along. and will give us parsley seed for the rest of the season to reseed itself for next year, and we can still get a little bit of parsley off of these before it starts to turn a little bit bitter. But that's it for the beans. I'm gonna show you what the strung up garden twine looks like when I've got that up, and be back in a sec here. Just real quick before I cover things up, I want to show you these guys. These logs, chunks of logs, these are poplar, and they have aphid wasps in them. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, I'm going to have a whole nother video with better footage of these guys. There's some holes, holes in the ends, and on top there's a hole right there. And they lay their eggs in those holes and fill them up with aphids that they catch and paralyze. And they munch down on lots of aphids. You can see I'm planting right up in between them, just digging along. They're very docile. They have no cares about us here. So I'm going to string up the beans either side of them, just plant around them, and that will give them a little bit of extra shade in the heat of the summer, and hopefully keep them nice and happy and eating our aphids. So, more later. So, twine's all up, and I used this handy little thing. Just a hook, let me see if you can see it, just a bent piece of galvanized something or other taped to a long stick to hook the twine up onto the hooks in the eave, and then they come down to hooks or loops in the ground, and that just, you can see, you can just unhook it, just goes around this loop and back. That keeps it in there. You can push these down a little more to get up. I don't think you saw that. Loops around and around, so you don't have to thread it through anything. And then we've got our beans all nicely lined up. I'm in the shade right now because it's getting pretty toasty in the sun, but let's go over there. You can see the rest of it. I can get through here. All right. So hopefully you can see the rest of this all hooked up into there, down into the bottom, and one last, right around those wasp nests, those aphid wasps, and they're completely docile. Their stingers are meant for little aphids. They can't do a thing to us. And then on either end, that last loop is just tied off into a loop on the end, hooked over that last cup hook, and we're done. And that will guide our beans as they grow up, up, up. Cover that window so it's not so toasty in the summertime. Bring the hummingbirds right outside the window. It's lovely, lovely. That's it. I'm going to do another video about those aphid wasps in particular, so check that one out. That'll be next, I think.